So, greetings to all. In this video, I will be reporting all about the topics in the teacher and school curriculum. So, without further ado, we will be proceeding on our first topic, which is TABA's definition of curriculum. So, TABA's definition of curriculum is first, curriculum is a plan of learning. The second one is curriculum usually contains a statement of aims and of specific objectives. It indicates some selection and organizing of content. It either implies or manifests certain patterns of learning and teaching, whether because the objectives demand them or because the content organization requires them. And finally, it includes a program of evaluation of the outcomes. So, TABA defines curriculum as a document containing a statement of the aims and of the specific objectives. So, it indicates some selection and organization of content. It either implies or manifests certain patterns of learning and teaching. So, because the objective demand or the content organization requires it, it includes a program of evaluation of the outcomes. So that is TABA's definition of curriculum. So the next one is the series of interpretation of curriculum by Olivia, which consists of the following. First one is curriculum is which is taught in school. The second one, curriculum is a set of subjects. Curriculum is a content. The third one is curriculum is a program of studies. Fourth one is curriculum is a set of materials. And fifth one, curriculum is set of performance objectives. The next one is curriculum is a course of study. Curriculum is everything that goes on within the school, including extra class activities and guidance, and also interpersonal relationship. And the seventh one is the curriculum is that which is taught both inside and outside the school, or directed by school, both directed by school. And next one is curriculum is everything that is planned by school and by school personnel. And the 10th and the final one is curriculum is a series of experiences undergone by learners in the school. And so these are all the interpretations about the curriculum by Olivia. And there's also the definition of curriculum by other experts, which is plan activities for action, which come from MacDonald. Experience set up by the school, which by Smith, Stanley, and Shores. And there's also all experience that children have under the guidance of teachers, which comes from Caswell and Campbell. And the last one is also curriculum is all the planned learning outcomes for which the school is responsible, which by Popham and Baker. Now we proceed to what is curriculum. So in traditional point of view, traditional curriculum can be seen as the long established in-person classroom style of learning used in most schools. So its primary techniques are oral instruction, reading and reciting facts. It is a passive way of learning that involves listening, reading, and taking notes, and also studying either individually or groups. While on the progressive point of view in the curriculum, a progressive curriculum, on the other hand, enforces themselves with the teachers only acting as an active participant rather than an intervening individual. So progressivists believe that individuality, progress, and change are fundamentals to one's education, believing that people learn best from what they consider most relevant to their lives. So progressivists center their curricula on the needs, experience, and interest and also abilities of students. Next is we have here the types of curriculum in school. So number one is recommended school. So the recommended curriculum is the same given to the curriculum constructed by the educational stakeholders at the national level. It is more general and usually consists of policy guidelines. So it actually reflects the impact of opinion shapers such as policymakers. Number two is written curriculum. Um, Written curriculum is what is formally put down in writing and documented for teaching. So these materials can include an educator's instruction, the documents, and also films, text, and other materials they need. So these materials come from larger school district or the school itself. So number three we have here taught curriculum. Um, Taught curriculum is defined as what which teacher actually teach day by day. So in practice, the written curriculum guides the taught curriculum, but in many cases it is the textbooks, assessments, and also the teacher preference that influence what is taught. So the fourth one is supported curriculum. So it involves the additional tools, resources, and learning experiences found in and outside the classroom. So these include textbooks, field trips, software, and technology. So in addition to other innovative new techniques to engage students. So number five is assessed curriculum. Assessed curriculum commonly takes place on the success story of the students during the education period using some ways such as questionnaires, interviews, and etc. So the existing approaches frequently used are inadequate to measure the effectiveness of the curriculum as the educational process guideline. So number six is learned curriculum. So all the changes occurred in the learners due to their school experiences are called the learned curriculum. So it is the curriculum that a learner absorbs or makes sense as a result of interaction with the teacher, class fellow, or the institution. So it includes the knowledge, attitudes, and skills acquired by the student. So the seventh is number seven is hidden curriculum. So hidden curriculum refers to the unwritten, unofficial, and often unintended lessons. So and also the values and perspectives that students learn in school. And next we have philosophical foundation. So the core of curriculum development and philosophy, it supports educators' belief, argument, and assumption formation, as well as their value assessment. So as a comprehensive perspective is developed through philosophy, it also aids in addressing questions such as why subjects are crucial, which subjects should be taught, and the best resources and teaching techniques. So philosophy makes the beginning point, so when making its decisions concerning all aspects of education. So now, what is philosophy? So philosophy is a way of thinking about a certain subjects such as ethics, thoughts, existence, time, meaning, and value. So that is philosophies. Now next we have idealism. So idealism is the metaphysical view that associates reality to ideas in the mind rather than to material objects. So it lays emphasis on the of on the mental or spiritual components of experiences. So, and renounces the notion of material existence. And next is realism. Realism in arts, the accurate, detailed, and embellished depiction of nature or of the contemporary life. So realism rejects imaginative idealization in favor of a close observation of outward appearances. So as such, realism in its broad sense has comprised many artistic currents in the different civilizations. And now, pragmatism. Pragmatism is philosophical movement that includes those who claim that an ideology or proposition is true if it works satisfactorily. So that the meaning of a proposition is to be found in the practical consequences of accepting it, and that unpractical ideas are to be rejected. Now, existentialism. Existentialism is a form of philosophical inquiry that explores the problem of human existence and centers on the abstraction of thinking, feeling, and acting. Existentialist thinkers frequently explore issues related to the meaning, purpose, and value of human existence. So next we have perennialism. So perennialists believe that the focus of education have lasted should be the ideas that have lasted over centuries. So they believe the ideas are as relevant and meaningful today as when they were written. So they recommend that students learn from reading and analyzing the works by history's finest thinkers and writers. And next is essentialism. So essentialism is fundamentally about designing and taking control of your life. So the same amount of energy when directed purposely can bring you much closer to your goal. So so know the right things you must do. Reject everything else and direct your time and energy to create the biggest impact where it matters. Next is next is progressivism. So progressivism is a way of thinking that it is possible through political actions for human societies to improve over time. So as a political movement, progressivism supports to advance the human condition through social reform based on advancements in science, technology, economic development, and social organization. And the last one is reconstructionist. So reconstructionism is a philosophy that emphasizes the addressing of school questions and quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. So reconstructionist educators focus on curriculum that highlights social reform as the aim of education. So moving on to the psychological foundations of curriculum, educational psychology focuses on how people learn by offering a framework for comprehending the teaching and learning processes. By implication, it underlines the significance of taking into account learners' variety. It is also true, though, that people have some things in common. Among these are fundamental psychological requirements for people to live complete and fulfilling lives. We'll discuss the main learning theories and how they've influenced curriculum creation in this part. In addition, we'll discuss how to include students' fundamental psychological demands into curricula. So, learning theories and curriculum. For the sake of convenience, we have classified the major theories of learning into following groups. So, number one is behaviorist theories, which deal with various aspects of stimulus response and reinforcement scheme. So, number two, cognitivist theories, which view the learner in relationship with the total environment. And number three, phenomenology, and which emphasizes the effective domain of learning. Now we have behaviorism and curriculum. A comparable philosophical hypothesis regarding the nature of learning forms the foundation of behaviorist school, which stands for traditional psychology. So, particularly in the early half of the 20th century, it predominated psychology with the introduction of personalized education. It recently regained popularity after spending a few decades in essentially in obscurity. So learning is essentially thought of as the building of habits, and teaching is thought of as structuring learning opportunities to encourage positive behavior. So additionally, behaviorism contends that lessons learned in one situation can be applied in other situations. Next is cognitivism and curriculum. Nowadays, the majority of psychologists use cognitive, social, psychological, and physical terminology to describe how human growth and development occurs. The fact that learning is essentially cognitive in nature is also mentioned, and operation of human traits are referred to as growth and development. So the majority of cognitivists think that growth and development happen in stages. Piaget's description of cognitive development in terms of stages from birth to maturity serves as one illustration. Next is phenomenology and curriculum. So phenomenologists emphasize that how we view ourselves is essential to understand our behavior, and that we react to an organization or pattern or stimuli rather than a single input in order to control our behavior. So it highlights the necessary of defining learning in terms of the wholeness of the issue. So you can make a comparison between this and cognitivism. However, what sets phenomenology apart from cognitivism is that the former places an emphasis on the affective, whereas the latter does so on the cognitive. So there can't be a universally accepted humanistic curriculum because every person has unique wants and interests relating to his or her self-fulfillment and self-realizations. So learning from humanistic perspective may improve students' mental health, personal feelings, and various facets of human awareness. Self-actualization. So the notion of self-actualization characterizes individuals' need for self-fulfillment and in life by achieving their own potential. So a curriculum should therefore provide learning activities that allow students to identify themselves with those things they can do well. So it should also assist them to succeed in order succeed in other activities that are difficult for them. So learners are thus helped to find personal meaning in the learning experience. So those responsible for curriculum development must pay attention to the concept of self-actualization. We all recognize the importance of school, college, and community-based goals for learners. So self-actualization, on the other hand, includes satisfying the desire to know and understand in relation to personal needs and interests. So, moreover, it has been noticed that when personal purposes are ignored, learners seems to be less successful in meeting the set goals. So, if curricular plans reflects a balance between institutional and personal needs, the impact on both may be substantially enhanced. Next, we have development task. So, a developmental task is one that arises in relation to a particular stage in a person's life. Success in it leads to satisfaction for the person that and success in succeeding task, while failure in it results in misery for the person and challenges in subsequent tasks. So one of the most specific factors in task organization is thought to be this fact. Individuals' demands are determined by the developmental stage and age they have reached and develop independently of their desire to fulfill social standards. So the implication is that teachers and curriculum designers should be aware of the behaviors displayed by students when indicating their readiness and need to handle a specific developmental task. Now we proceed to sociological foundation of education. So any discussion of the curriculum should take the social context and its impact into account. So, the qualities of pupils have experienced the curriculum in the educational institutions that developed by social influences. So, students learn a great deal from events in that area of their lives, since they live in a world in a world since they live in a world that is much wider than the institution or school. So the latter situation gives rise to the criticism that what is learned in school or college has little application in actual life. So, however, in the former situation, a college or school may play a significant role to society's advancement by assisting in the development of young people's ability to respond intelligently to social issues. So, society and education. The majority of us equate education with going to school. So the truth is that education is still provided to young people in societies without institutional colleges or schools through ceremonies, rituals, stories, observation of parents and elders, etc., and many more. So interpersonal interpersonal interactions are governed by social norms, which is also create model personality and attitudes, emotions, and behavioral patterns that the majority of a society's people share. So each of its members is given a uh, defined duty and is expected to follow predetermined behavioral patterns. So sexual roles differs from culture to culture, but they are generally well defined within a certain framework. So this leads us to the conclusion that in addition to the classroom curriculum, society also has a significant impact on how young people's opinion are shaped. So while also reflecting current social factors, a curriculum. So now, social change and the curriculum. Contemporary society is changing so swiftly that we have difficulty coping with it, adjusting ourselves to the present and preparing for the future. So, contrary to this fact, our colleges or schools appear to be conservative institutions that usually lag behind change. Next is growth technology. The world of today is considerably different from the one of the young are growing up in. So this is related to the fact our culture is information based. This information society will change not only the types of jobs that are created, but also every other aspect of the workplace. So underlying all of this is significant challenge to the work ethics that have become ingrained in our society and educational institutions. Now, structures of family. So, the foundation of intricate social fabric has been thought to be the family. The traditional idea of a family is being made up of the parents' biological children by much more is gradually being replaced by a much more complex variety of family structures. So, the ties of the centrally located extended family, which includes grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other relatives, are deteriorating as a result of geographic mobility. So, cultural diversity. The rising tendency away from homogeneous culture towards one of the diversity and plurality is extremely obvious as we go from a melting pot society to a salad bowl. One. In the past, an educational setting has been seen as the main societal force behind the melting pot phenomenon. So currently, it is torn between playing its traditional role and the growing density trend. So as long as a society is alive and well, disagreements concerning the purpose of education will lead to adjustments. So maybe this is a good thing. So maybe this is what keeps society going and keep it from falling apart. So planning for circumstances. We can spot links in the chain of evolution that has brought about socio-educational changes. So, if we examine the goals and priorities of education since the turn of the century, to prove the point, examine how rigorous intellectual training was viewed as education's ultimate goal at the beginning of the 20th century. So, progressive educationists insisted on expanding the school curriculum, which was solely academic in the second and third decades of the 20th century by including non-academic and vocational components. The objectives of education should be adaptable and able to alter in response to shifting social requirements. So, it makes sense that the school or college in this society will have an emphasis on fishing, lashing horses, and scaring off tigers if those activities are essential for survival. Now, to ensure socially relevant curriculum, for example, the panels and commissions which formulate educational priorities should comprise the following representative groups, like number one, students. Post-secondary students are mature enough to provide appropriate inputs on developing educational aims. The second one is parents. As parents are interested in the overall development of their children, parental inputs are necessary. Third one is educators. Teachers, administrators, and public leaders must assume responsibility in developing educational aims and priorities. Number four is researchers. So the role of the researcher or social scientist is important for providing objective data concerning issues and trends. So number five, community community members. So their support of the formulation of priorities should be considered significant as they decide matters pertaining to school and college and fiscal matters, directly and indirectly. Six is six is business community. So because of its political influence, and interest in the outcomes of educational enterprises in terms of human resources development, technology and industrial output. It needs to be represented. So 7 is political officials. They should be enlisted because educational policy and politics by and large go together. And 8 is pressure groups. People show considerate impact by organizing themselves into groups that promote special interests. So the operation of such groups is clearly valid within the democratic process. So historical foundations. The term education refers to the processes used by society to transmit its knowledge, culture, and values from one generation to the next. So the person receiving education grows socially, ethically, emotionally, cognitively, and physically. So, an individual teacher, a family, a church, or any other social group may carry out the task of education. The organization that provides formal education is typically a school which hires people with the necessary training. Now, primitive education marked difference between primitive and civilized culture. Number one, primitive culture was relatively simple. Number two, primitive men had relatively narrow social and cultural contacts. So, number three is the organization of the primitive life was tribal. Number four, the most significant feature is the absence of reading and writing. So its aims are: number one, security and survival; two, prepare the young to secure himself and his family, and to appease the gods or spirits which they believe to control their existence. Number two, conformity, to teach the next generation how to act in accordance with the tribe's prevailing social standards, attitudes, beliefs, and traditions. Number three, leaders of the dominant tribe became king or priest who organized a complex government which demanded obedience from the people. Number four, a longer period of training was given to the members of the tribe to provide them with skills necessary for complex living. So in Chinese education, Chinese civilization originated in Huanghe Valley. A standardized system of written characters was adopted, and its use was made compulsory. So its aim is to select and train people for public service. So, and in Hindu education uses a system of writing known as Sanskrit. So its aim is to be able to live according to the demands of specific social class in the caste system. In Jewish education, the English word Jew is derived directly from the Latin Judas, meaning an inhabitant of Judah. So its aim is to prepare men to know God and live peacefully among their fellows. And in Egyptian education, the principles of life were taught from treatises known as books of instruction, which emphasize the importance of wisdom, justice, obedience, piety, fairness, truthfulness, and above all, humanity. They have devised a system of picture writing known as hieroglyphics around 3100 BC. So, as you all know, hieroglyphics, it is a system of writing using pictures to represent a sound or group of sounds. Now, education depends on social class. So, number one, lower class, children of low status families or fellahin learn their skills from their parents. And boys helps in fields with simple farm tasks, apprentice in certain crafts, profession of their father, and the girls confide in doing domestic tasks, and also weaving, brewing, and bread making. Number two, royal and elite, which literacy remained to be their privilege. The girls were tutored, young boys were trained by scribes how to read and write, and court schools were set up by court officials to teach boys the duties of royalty through apprenticeship. Scribe. Now, a scribe is a prestigious profession, usually hereditary, having the duty of teaching royal and elite children. Now, Greek education. Greek education instills a better culture and enlightenment during the transitional period between the prehistoric and classical eras. Since cities are small, every citizen of polis participated directly in all civic and military affairs, serving as soldiers, judges, members of the assembly, or state officials. Now, each city evolved from a clan or large family that recognize a common ancestor. We can trace the emergence of the creative and logical thought process of that have contributed to real intellectual advancement to the Greeks. So the three most well-known philosophers the world has ever heard of, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, rose through the cities where they lived. So their writing system develops from Phoenician symbols. Now, in Spartan education, their aims is that their education aimed to develop a nation of unequalized military skill with citizens absolutely devoted to the state. It is also it also focused on developing the capacities of men only for war. And their aim of education was in accordance with the aim of their constitution, which was to train powerful body of soldiers that should be capable of conformity, endurance, strength, cunning, and patriotic efficiency. Now, in Athenian education, their aims was for the men, which means the men the men sana and corpore sano, a Latin expression which means sound mind and a soul and a sound body, was the ultimate aim for their educational system. So they also aimed to develop individuals' excellence, which meant a full-rounded development of mind and body and public usefulness. So the ability to take active part in the business of the state. So Athenians also sought beauty and grace of body, knowledge, and things of the spirit. So their idea of manhood embraced external and internal beauty, physical and mental harmony. Now, in Roman education, ancient Rome, the birthplace of Roman civilization, grew from its humble beginnings as a Latin farming community on the banks of the river Tiber in the year 1000 BC. To become the epicenter of the largest ancient empire, Roman culture quickly spread throughout all of Italy and Mediterranean French between 500 and 300 BC. So beginning around 200 BC up to the end of the 5th century AD, Rome ruled over considerable portions of Asia, Africa, and Europe. So Roman economic success combined with military victories that resulted in the establishment of the Roman Empire provided the financial resources and fertile ground for the growth of Roman culture. So it also allowed for the development of specialized artists, craftsmen, lawyers, and administrators. So from 753 BC, traditional founding of the city, to 275 BC, children were taught principally at home by their parents and servants. So usually educated captured slaves. So entry to the public life was by participation in civic, religious, and military affairs. So schools were only on the elementary level. From 275 BC until 132 BC, the Romans developed a literary culture and system of higher education patterned after the Greeks. And number 3 is from 132 BC to 100 AD, Latin literature and grammar were perfected. Medicine and law were taught on a systematic basis. Roman treatises were produced. So schools were private, but a beginning was made of public subsidies to education. So the government became an empire. So Jesus Christ was born, lived, and was crucified, and Christian church was established. Now, number 4, from 100 AD to 275 AD, law became a university subject. So medicine took form, and it kept this for 1,400 years. So government increased its subsidy for learning. So number 5, from 275 AD to 529 AD, the government established a monopoly of education. Teachers were required to be licensed. Christianity became first tolerated, then it became official religion to the empire. So textbooks were written. The ancient world went to pieces, and the Middle Ages were ushered in. So their aims, the development of the good citizen, the good soldier, and the good worker. So the vir bonus was the man possessed of all of all the virtues, essential for the exercises of his rights and discharge of his duties and obligations. So Roman judged everything, its serviceability and effectiveness. So in the later period of the Roman Empire, Roman education aimed for linguistic facility and perfection in public speaking debate. The orator, who was considered the ideally educated man, was to be the first vir bonus. So the true orator used to use this learning by putting it to practical use in public service. Now we have legal basis of Philippine education. So from before the arrival of the Spanish until the present, the Philippines educational system has gone through numerous eras of development. So education acts as the center of the emphasis, priorities of the leadership of this distinct periods of our national struggle as a race in order to meet the requirements of the society. So education was informal, unstructured, and methodless even in pre-Magellanic periods. So less emphasis was placed on the 3 R's and more was placed on vocational training for children by their parents and in the homes of tribal tutors. So during the Spanish colonization, significant alterations were made to the pre-Spanish educational system. So Spanish missionaries took the place of the indigenous teachers. The focus of education was on religion. In particular, during the first few decades of Spanish colonization, it was for the elite. Later, the Philippines' access to the education was made more liberal to Drew. So Article 14 of the 1987 Constitution. It is on education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports. So Section 1 ensures the rights of all citizens to quality education at all levels. So the state shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. Section 2. This section of Article 14 stipulates the following section of following Section 2A, complete, adequate, and integrated system. The Constitution mandates that the state shall establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and society. So this includes early instruction for young children, nursery and kindergarten, elementary and secondary education, and higher education in the arts, science, and the professions. So Section 2B, free public elementary and secondary education. The Constitution obligates the state to establish and maintain a system of free public education in the elementary and high school. levels without limiting the natural right and duty of parents to rear their children for civic efficiency and development of moral characters. So, elementary education is compulsory for all children of school age. Section 2C, scholarship, grants, and incentives. A system of scholarship, grants, students' loan program, subsidies, and other incentives shall be established and maintained. Now, these are to be available to the deserving students in both public and private schools, especially to underprivileged. So, Section 2D, non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning system. So, the Constitution encourages non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning systems as well as self-learning, independent, and out-of-school study programs, especially those that respond to community needs. Training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills is to be provided to adult citizens, disabled, and out-of-school youth. So, Section 3. General curricular provisions are stated in this section of Article 14. This section also states that all educational institutions shall include the study of the Constitution as part of the curricula. So, optional religious instructions shall be allowed to be taught to children in the public elementary and high school within the regular class hours by instructors designated by religious authorities of the religion to which the children or wards belong, without additional cost to the government. So, Section 4, complementary roles of public and private institutions. It states that the state recognized the complementary roles of public and private institutions in the educational system and exercise of reasonable supervisors and regulation of all educational institutions. So, ownership, control, and administration of educational institutions. So, educational institutions other than those established by religious groups and mission boards shall be owned solely by citizens of Philippines or corporation by association of which at least 60% of the capital is owned by such citizen. The control and the administration of educational institutions shall be vested in the citizens of the Philippines. No educational institution shall be established exclusively for aliens, and no groups should comprise more than one third of the enrollment in any school. So this provision does not apply to schools established for foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents unless otherwise provided by law. So all assets of non-stock, non-profit educational institutions used directly and exclusively for education purpose and shall be exempt from taxes and duties. And Section 5, Article 14 states the following provisions. Academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. Every citizen has right to select a profession of course of study subject to fair, reasonable, and equitable admission and academic requirements. So budgetary priority, the highest budgetary priority shall be assigned by the state of education and ensure that teaching will attract and retain its rightful share of the best available talents through adequate remuneration and other means of job satisfaction and fulfillment. So Section 6, National Language. The national language of the Philippines is Filipino and shall be the medium of communication and language of instruction in the educational system. Section 10, Research and Development. The state shall give priorities to research and development, invention, innovation, and their utilization into science and technology education, training, and services. Now, Section 14, Free Artistic and Intellectual Expression. The state shall foster the preservation, enrichment, and dynamic evolution of Filipino culture based on the principle of unity in a climate of free artistic and intellectual expression. So Section 17 and 18, cultural opportunities, the state shall recognize, respect, and protects the rights of indigenous cultural communities to preserve and develop their culture, traditions, and institutions. The state shall ensure equal access to to cultural opportunities through the educational system, public or private cultural entities, scholarship, grants, and other incentives, and to community cultural centers and other public venues. So Section 19, physical education, the state shall promote physical education and encourage sports program, league competitions, and amateur sports, including training for international competition to foster discipline, teamwork, and excellence for the development of a healthy and alert citizenry. So, all educational institutions shall undertake a regular short activities throughout the country. Now, Educational Act of 1982, Natural Rights and Duties of Parents in Education of Children. Section 5. So, the state shall aid and support the natural right and duty of parents in the rearing of the youth through the educational system. So, in Section 11, additional compensation to teachers. The Act prohibits the giving of compulsory assignments not related to the teacher's duties as defined in employment contracts without the teacher being paid additional compensation under existing laws. It also prohibits involuntary contributions except those imposed by their own organizations. So, government financial support. The Act also specifies government commitment to extend financial support and assistance to public and private schools. And Section 11.12, special rights of teachers. Teachers and school administrators shall be deemed persons in authority while in the discharge of lawful duties and responsibilities, and shall therefore be accorded due respect and protection. Section 13, rights of school. So, in addition to other rights provided by the law, institutions of the higher learning have been granted by the Act of 1982 to determine on academic grounds who shall be admitted to study, who may teach, and what subjects of the study and research shall be. So, in Section 16 and 17, another safeguard to maintain quality education is the report mechanism which the Act requires of teachers, Section 16, and administrators, Section 17. So, these reports provide a basis for assessment or performance. The Act also guarantees free legal assistance in the event that teachers are charged with civil, criminal, or administrative cases for actions committed directly in the lawful discharge of professional duties. So, in Section 29, maintenance of quality education, the Act has provided alternatives to maintain quality education. So, one of them is voluntary accreditation for those institutions desiring to meet standards of quality over and above the minimum required for state recognition. So, other legal basis, Philippines Commission Act number 74. So, this act laid the foundations of the Philippine public school system and English, the language of instruction. It also established the present organization of public schools into school divisions and school districts. So, Section 16 of the Act laid the legal basis for additional religious instruction in public schools and set the limitations on the teachers' religious activities. So, Philippine Normal School and Trade School Act number 74 also provided the legal basis for the establishment of the Philippine Normal School and Trade School in Manila and Agricultural School in Negros. So, Republic Act number 416, which was approved on June 18, 1949, converted the Philippine Normal School into a teachers' college, which would offer courses leading to the Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education and Master of Arts in Education. So this act also served as the charter of the college. The Philippine Normal College since then has been governed by a board of trustees which is responsible directly to the President of the Philippines Republic, Act number 7168, which was approved on December 26, 1999, converted the Philippine Normal College into a university. So, Act number 1870, enacted by the Philippines Assembly and the Philippine Commission in 1908, founded the University of the Philippines. So the university is governed by a charter. Commonwealth Act number 1 is the basis of compulsory military training in school. Also known as the Educational Act of 1940, provides the legal basis for the present 6-year elementary course. So the double single session, the school entrance age, and national support for elementary education. So Commonwealth Act number 80 provides the legal basis for adult education. So this law implements the constitutional provision on the citizenship training of adult citizen. Act number 3377, Vocational Act of 1927, amended by Act number 3740 and RA number 175, and other acts laid the basis for vocational education in the public schools and made provision for its support. Next order number 84 calls for the recognition of academic programs for each private school in order to entitle it to give the students who have completed the course a certificate, title, or diploma. Presidential Decree number 1006. So considered teachers as professionals and teaching as a profession. Teaching as used in this decree refers to the profession primarily concerned with classroom instruction or the elementary and secondary levels in both public and private schools. So the term teacher refers to all persons engaged in teaching and at the elementary and secondary levels, whether on full-time or part-time basis. So including guidance counselors, schools, librarians, and industrial arts of vocational teachers, and all other persons performing supervisory and or administrative functions in the aforesaid school levels. So a person considered as a professional teacher is one who has permanent appointment to under the Magna Carta for public school teachers and all other who may qualify for registration. So Commonwealth Act number 177 placed on public school teachers under the civil service rules and regulations with reference to their examination, appointment, transfer, separation, leave, and reinstatement. So thus protecting the teacher's tenure of office. So Commonwealth Act number 578, teachers as person in authority. So confers the status of person in authority upon supervisors, principals, and teachers of the professors of public and recognized private schools. So the act provides as penalty to any person found guilty of assault upon this teaching personal imprisonment ranging from 6 months and 1 day to 6 years, and a fine from 500 pesos to 1,000. So DSCS order number 65 as a 1993 order. So that provides special hardship pay for elementary teachers in remote schools. So encourage the acceptance of assignment and attendance for all school days. So RA 1425, the life works and writing of Jose Rizal shall be included in the curricula of all schools, both public and private, from elementary to universities. So RA 1265 provides that flag raising ceremony shall be compulsory in the educational institutions. So this also includes the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. So Republic Act number 4670, Magna Carta of Public School Teachers, declared as its policy the promotion of improvement of the social and economic status of public school teachers, their living and working conditions, so their terms of employment and their career prospects, in order what they may compare favorably with existing opportunities in other walks of life. So attract and retain in teaching profession. So more people So more people with proper qualifications. Academic freedom upholds the teacher's rights to freely discuss topics or issues within their field of expertise. So in elementary and secondary education, the classroom teachers' responsibilities include the selection of teaching method, supplemental materials, assignment of projects, all within minimum requirements prescribed by law. So the Magna Carta of students provides the following: A for a fully independent and autonomous student council and mandates school owners to provide the necessary funds to sustain their activities. B that there should be one student council for each campus, which shall have its own set of officers elected in annual popular elections and charter duly ratified. C that no student shall be denied admission to any school on account of his physical handicap, socioeconomic status, and political or religious beliefs, or membership in a student organization. D for the participant of students in the tertiary level in the school's policy making process. In loco parentis, the rights of students are to be protected while under the supervision of the school. So there would be no corporal punishment, and whatever disciplining is needed must be done with only their best interest in mind. So freedom of expression. Students are entitled to freedom of expression is insofar as these views are consistent with the rules of school and will not disrupt school order or transgress the rights of others. So in school publications, for example, students may write anything libellous or likely to cause disruption. So, suspension and expulsion. Guidelines for suspension and expulsion are contained in manual or regulations for private schools and school rules and regulations. Search and seizure searches are usually conducted because school authorities suspect that illegal or dangerous items are on the students. So students' records, parents retain rights of access to their children's school records until the child reaches the age of 18. So Department Order number 25, 1974 mandates the use of English and Filipino separately as media of instruction. So Presidential Decree number 907 provides that honor graduates, those who finish the course with at least cum laude honors from school year 1972 to 73 from schools, colleges, and universities of good standing as determined by the Secretary of Education and Culture shall be conferred appropriate civil service eligibilities. So Republic Act number 6655 Free Public Secondary Education Act of 1988 provides a system of free public secondary education commencing in the year 1988 to 1989. The right of the students to avail of free public high school shall terminate if he fails from 2 consecutive school years in the majority of academic subjects in which he enrolled, unless such failure is due to some valid cause. So Dex Order number 49, 1992, Selection of Honor Students in the Secondary Schools, provides the guidelines for the selection of honor students. Implementation of the guidelines started in the year 1992 to 1993 in all public and secondary schools. Valedictorian, salutatorian, and honorable mention shall apply to graduating students in all secondary schools. So Dex Order number 49, 1992, Selection of Honor Students in the secondary schools, there shall be one valedictorian and one salutatorian for all of the graduating classes. If there is a tie, both may be declared valedictorian and salutatorian. The ranking should be based on total weighted rank. Academic excellence shall be given a weight of 7, while performance in co-curricular activities shall be given a weight of 3. So performances in co-curricular activities shall cover the achievement of of the candidates for at least 2 years. So the rating shall be based on the combined assessment for all of third and fourth year teachers and candidates and of the candidates. So that would be all. Thank you for your time listening.